Yesterday Bitcoin had a bit of a bearish day, but I think today we will see a huge move for Bitcoin. Yesterday we dropped back below the $64,000, but we are also in this huge uptrend on the 4-hour time frame. So this is looking very bullish. And today I will discuss a lot of interesting information with you on the Bitcoin charts, so you don't want to miss any of this. There's a lot of interesting data coming into the market for the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETF. There's also a lot of interesting data I want to show you about the Bitcoin quarterly and the monthly returns, but about that later in the video. I will also have a look at the two altcoins Cardano and Dogecoin. So watch this video all the way to the end, like the video, and let's dive right into the charts. So as I was saying, yesterday we saw a little bit of a bearish start of the week, and today October is starting. And on the 1-hour time frame we can see this upward sloping support area with multiple touch points as support on the lower side. And every time we touch this support we saw a nice bounce to the top side. So let's see if Bitcoin can hold this support again. And for now it looks like Bitcoin is going to hold this support, so this is looking very strong. And let's see if we can again see a bounce to the top side and create new highs. And this uptrend is still intact on the 1-hour time frame, so let's see if Bitcoin can see a bounce later today. And if we then have a look on the daily time frame, we can still see that Bitcoin was in this lower high structure and we currently are making a new higher high. So this is very bullish to see, of course. And of course we also are creating higher lows, and now we want to see that higher low structure coming into play, because then we can see a huge trend reversal for Bitcoin on the daily time frame, and then we can create huge exponential moves to the top side. At first we were in this huge downtrend on the daily time frame, and now we are seeing a little bit of a trend reversal, and it all starts here. So let's see if Bitcoin can hold this support and create a new higher low, and from there we can see more highs. And of course these are the previous highs we need to gain, and these are also the very most important interesting resistance areas for Bitcoin to gain on the daily time frame. And yesterday the Bitcoin ETFs had another very interesting day. We saw a huge inflow yesterday of $61.3 million, and of course BlackRock was buying like crazy. The other ETFs were a little bit neutral and they didn't buy or sell anything. So BlackRock was leading the pack yesterday, and now we are seeing a new all-time high created for the spot Bitcoin cumulative inflow in total. So this is very bullish, and of course we want to see those exponential moves to the top side like we saw 3 times earlier in the history of the Bitcoin ETF. And of course this will pump up the price of Bitcoin even more. So let's see if today we can see another positive day for the Bitcoin ETFs. And if we then have a look at the Ethereum ETFs, we saw a mixed day yesterday. We saw $11.0 million inflow of the BlackRock Ethereum ETF, but we also saw almost $12 million of outflow on the Grayscale Ethereum ETF. So we almost had a 1 million of outflows yesterday, so this was a little bit of a neutral day for the Ethereum ETF. And let's see if today and later in this week we can see a bit more inflows into the Ethereum ETFs, which will bump up the price of ETH as well. And looking at the 4-hour time frame, we can see this price is holding support again, and we also can see a huge bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame is occurring, because we can see higher lows occurring on the chart, and we can also see lower lows occurring on the RSI. So this indicates a huge bullish divergence, because we can see that the selling pressure might cool off a little bit, and eventually we could see a huge spike to the top side, which we are also a little bit seeing already. So this could also happen today. So we could see this huge bullish divergence play out today, and this of course will be very bullish for Bitcoin. And it's been a long time since we saw a bullish divergence for Bitcoin, so this is looking very bullish on the 4-hour time frame. So let's see if today this bullish divergence will play out for Bitcoin. And then I want to have a look at the daily chart with you, with this horizontal resistance and support areas. And we can see we fell a little bit low below this huge support area again yesterday, because we saw a huge red candle. And now we can see that Bitcoin is trying to break it again. But we could also of course see that we're breaking below this level and that we're going to see a bearish retest. But I don't think this is going to be the case, because on the daily time frame we are in this huge uptrend. So I think we will see a little bit of a fake out today, and then we're going to see some gains of this level and eventually see more price to the top side. So let's see if this huge fake out can be invalidated, and let's see if Bitcoin can just gain this area again and see more topside in later today, because we don't want to fall below this level and see bearish price action again, because then we have to aim for lower targets, and then we're coming in the huge negative spiral again. Because we also saw that earlier in the price, because we saw here negative divergence happening, and then we saw more downside from here. So of course we are creating a new higher high after this previous high, so we also could potentially see a higher low structure from here. And if we come back here to this level, we are still in a huge uptrend on the daily time frame, so I don't want to panic here, but we can also potentially see this lower high unfolding. And also this huge horizontal resistance wasn't being tested as support yet, so we could potentially also come back to this level, create a higher low, and this of course would not something to be panicking about. But of course we just want to pump up the price above the $64,000 again, and then we want to see exponential moves to the top side for Bitcoin. And yesterday the month of September ended, and we also saw that Q3 was ending yesterday, and today October is starting. Historically seen, when we saw a bullish September, we always saw a beautiful bullish Q4, and this was the case in 2016 and 2015. And as we can see, we saw 3 consecutive months in the last quarter of the year for Bitcoin, and that was also the case last year. And this year we saw the most bullish September ever in the history of Bitcoin. So let's see if Bitcoin can show us 3 consecutive bullish months. And that of course will be a very bullish for Bitcoin, and we may see a new all-time high in 2024. So let me know in the comments, do you think Bitcoin will create a new all-time high in 2024, or do you think that we will see it in 2025? And this chart on the daily time frame is a very important chart, which I'm going to have a look at, because these are the previous highs we need to gain for Bitcoin, and if we're going to gain these highs, then we are going to see exponential moves to the top side. But first, I also think that these horizontal areas are also very important resistance for Bitcoin to break. So if we're coming back to these areas, I'm always going to take a little bit of my profits, because we could also potentially see a huge bounce from this level and a rejection. And as I was saying, I was buying at these lower stages for Bitcoin. So from these lower stages to these huge resistance area, we can also see a huge gain eventually. And I'm always going to take a little bit of my profits in on the resistance area. So we could potentially make a 30, 35% and almost a 40% gain from these lows. So let's see if Bitcoin can come back to these huge resistance areas, break it to the top side, retest the resistance as support, and then see a healthy continuation of the price action. And if we're going to break all these levels, then of course we will see a new Bitcoin all-time high. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Cardano. We can see that Cardano is in this huge descending wedge, and we can see multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and also on the lower side a lot of touch points as support. And we also saw this huge trend line resistance was coming into play on the daily time frame, but we broke it to the top side, which was beautiful. And now we are seeing a little bit of a rejection coming into the market at this next big resistance. So this will be the first big resistance for Cardano to break. And if we are going to see a break of the resistance, we could potentially retest this resistance as support and then aim for higher targets. And the breakout target of this falling wedge formation is the top side of this formation, which will be confluent with a lot of resistance as well. So this will be around the 52 cents. So if we're going to see a break of this formation, I want to see a clear gain and a daily confirmation of the breakout. And then if we're going to see a retest of this formation to test it as support, from here you can enter the market in the long for Cardano and aim for this 52 cents breakout target. And this of course will be very bullish for Cardano. But of course we could also see a bearish scenario play out, and that we're coming back to this previous resistance to test it as support. And from there we could also potentially enter the market in the long and then aim for higher prices. And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Dogecoin. Doge also has been in this huge falling wedge formation to the downside, and we saw a lot of resistance and support coming into play, and also this huge horizontal support was coming into play, and every time we touched this support we saw a nice big bounce to the top side. So this was also the case a couple weeks ago, and we eventually broke out of this huge falling wedge formation. But we didn't test this huge resistance area yet as support. So we could also potentially come back to this huge support area, which acts as horizontal and diagonal support. And then we're retesting this huge falling wedge formation as support. And then we can aim for higher targets. And the top side of this formation will be confluent with breakout target, and that will be around the 20 cents. So that is of course a very interesting gain to make. And we're currently at the 12 cents, so that's almost a 2x from here. And we can also see that Dogecoin is running into big resistance on the daily time frame, and this is a very important resistance for the Dogecoin to break first. So Doge could potentially come back to this area, or we can see a huge gain of this level, a retest of the resistance as support, and then aim for higher targets. And this of course will also be a very healthy uptrend for the Doge. So if we want to be a little bit more bullish on Doge, we need to gain this huge horizontal resistance first. So please leave a like if you find this video useful, follow me on my other socials, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.